Yeah, it's terrible weather.
Damn it, I knew I should have gotten that spare tire fixed.
I saw a house about half a mile back. Maybe we should see if they have a phone.
Okay, let's go. A half mile back in this rain? You got the umbrella?
Down the road here about 3 miles. Would it be all right if we came in? You maybe use a phone if you got a phone.
The phone is dead, but the lines aren't usually down for long. So while we wait, why don't I show you some of my collection?
What is it that you collect?
Unusual objects, curios. Let me show you. I picked this cutlery set up at a curio shop. It turns out they're witches' knives, black-handled daggers used in spells by witches. A witch might use these like this. Watch carefully. That's the strange thing about witches' knives, particularly a used set such as these. The magic that they've been exposed to transmutes the metal and causes strange things to happen. Do you know the optical illusion of the pencil that looks like it's made of rubber? Well, this is no optical illusion. The knife melts like butter until it breaks. Fortunately, I have one left. Hold your hand out, palm up. Hold onto it tight, not too tight. We don't want a blood sacrifice. Can you feel it bending, twitching? Can you feel any movement?
No.
Open your hand. It's now bent out of shape. How about you? I think we have time for a small seance. I want you to think of the name of somebody deceased. It should be somebody famous and somebody that you would want to talk with if he were alive today. I've got a business card here. I want you to write the name on the back of the business card and then turn the card face down. Don't let me see what you've written. You may have heard of the Boston medium, Marjorie. Houdini investigated her. Marjorie believed that names had powerful magic to them. In fact, she believed that by using someone's name, she could contact their spirit.
You really think so?
She was renowned for her mediumistic capabilities.
Don't know.
Well, she had a dollhouse, and the dollhouse was equipped with seance implements, including a small Ouija board and a tiny silver planchette, or Ouija indicator. While small in stature, they nonetheless would still open a portal to the spirit world. And they're the perfect size for a small medium. Watch this. Are there spirits present? Yes. Who is here? V, I, V, A, L, A, S, V, E, G, A.S. Goodbye. Viva Las Vegas. Are you thinking of Elvis Presley? Yes, you're thinking of Elvis. Would you like to speak with him? I'll let you try it. Hold your hand out. There's one thing you should know, though, when you're using a Ouija board. It's kind of like calling a phone booth on a busy street corner in the spirit world. You never know who is going to answer. The spirits always let you know when they're finished in their communication. And that's a good sign that they are finished communicating. And now, for something completely different. Do you know what this is? Let me take it out of the bottle.
It's a bone.
That's right. It used to be a finger. It's now a bone. A doctor gave this to me. Go ahead, ask me which doctor.
Which doctor?
That's right. It was a witch doctor. His name was Thessalonia. And like most voodoo priests, he claimed he had the ability to raise the dead as a zombie to do his bidding. This finger, he claimed, was from the hand of a zombie that he had raised. I asked him to prove it, and he gave me the finger. But that does prove it. Watch. Dambala. Wengo. Dambala. Did you see it move? It's just a little movement. The thing is dead. Did you see it? If you get a little closer, you can actually see it. It move. Yeah, it's getting up. That's the problem with this zombie finger. The voodoo priest might be able to keep it under control, but I find it gets completely out of hand.
Good Lord, man.
And now for the cultural part of the program. I've got some postcards here that are portraits of famous artists, self-portraits of famous artists, including one of my favorite,
Van Gogh.
Vincent van Gogh. That's right. He lived his life in poverty, and now his paintings sell for millions. They display such passion in his paintings. But one day, that passion manifested itself in violence. He cut off his ear and brought it to a girl in a brothel. He was committed to a mental institution shortly after that and committed suicide. Well, I picked up these postcards to test a hypothesis. They're to act as a test because I was approached by a man who knows I collect unusual artifacts. This man claimed that he had Van Gogh's ear. He said he's had it in his family for a long time.
Did you say his ear?
Yes, it was a family heirloom. I needed a test to find out whether this was the authentic 100-year-old ear of Vincent van Gogh, or whether it was some other ear that may have been dug up somewhere. So I devised this test to find out. Will you take these and mix up the envelopes? I did acquire the ear because my test indicates that it is the real item. And ear it is. Envelopes. This one. Take that one, open it up. Let's see. These are the other portraits. It did locate the self-portrait.
Van Gogh.
But his ear is now missing. Pretty eerie, isn't it? Aleister Crowley was probably the greatest occultist of the 20th century. He was also called the evilest man in the world. His own mother called him the Beast from the Book of Revelations. It's a title he adapted for his own use. Crowley designed a tarot pack known as the Thoth Tarot, and a friend of mine gave me hers for my collection because she knows I collect tarot cards and because she believed the cards that she had were cursed. In fact, she believed Crowley's spirit haunted the tarot pack. She kept them in a Bible because she claimed the Word of God was the only power strong enough to keep Crowley's evil at bay. If you're familiar with the tarot, there are 78 different symbols, each assigned a number, each assigned a meaning. When I received the allegedly cursed pack, I mixed them in anticipation of a reading to see if there could be anything to this curse. I turned over the top symbol. It was the devil card. I put them away until tonight, for I believe I found a way of breaking the curse. It uses a consecrated knife and a virgin. What, is there a problem? What I'd like you to do is, as I move the symbols, I want you to slide the blade between two of the symbols. In this manner, we select two of the cards. If we can select three and avoid the devil card, I believe we will have broken the curse. The symbol above the knife blade, the Six of Cups, it stands for pleasure. Crowley would have liked that, but we avoided the devil card. The next symbol, the Six of Swords. So far, so good. You'll take the knife once again, slide the blade between two of the symbols. Good. Now it's your choice. Do you want the symbol above the knife blade or below?
Below.
This one here. Good choice. We did avoid the devil card. The Six of Discs, success. However, I don't feel we've been successful. You see, out of all these different symbols, you chose the Six of Discs, the Six of Swords, the Six of Cups, 3 sixes. In the back of the Bible, there's a passage that I'd like you to read as I read it aloud. It's a passage that's underlined. It says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is number of man, and his number is 666. Crowley's spirit is still here. Before the use of tarot cards, fortune tellers were casting the runes. They were using rune stones and a casting cloth, such as these. Rune stones consist of 25 different symbols, each with its own meaning, each with a mark, a glyph on one side. They're used for fortune telling. I'd like you to try it. If you would, take a handful of the rune stones. Go ahead and pick them up. We'll move the others aside. And what I'd like you to do, go ahead and cast the runes. Now, we only use the face down runes, the unknowable. This one and these two we'll eliminate. And actually, from the face down stones, we only need one. So we'll eliminate the other one. I want you to pick one up and place it with the others. That leaves one. Hold your hand out, palm up. I want you to hold on to it. Hold on to it tight. We're going to get into the meaning of the symbol a little later. But first I want to tell you a true story. Back before the turn of the century, there was a book called Secrets of the Runes by Guido von List that created a stir amongst the Germans. Hitler picked up a copy and used the runes in his theory of Germany being the master race. He used the runic sig as his insignia for the elite SS. He used the runic hammer of Thor as his swastika. Hitler consulted with one of the last of the great rune masters, a Norseman by the name of Odin Heikel. Now, there is a symbol in the runes that stands for a rune master. And Odin had this mark on his flesh in a bizarre sort of birthmark. Many attributed that to his prowess with the runes. Whatever it was, he was good enough for Hitler to approach him prior to the war and ask him to become his personal consultant. Hitler's biographers called Odin an astrologer. In actuality, he studied the runes rather than the heavens. I'd like you to take 6 of the stones, sight unseen, drop them in the bag. Six, that's good. Odin Heikel died in 1942. Many occultists attribute that to the downfall of the Third Reich. In desperation, Hitler had his skin tanned and made into a casting cloth in an attempt to salvage the rune master's powers. But to no avail, the runes fell silent. The unholy casting cloth circulated the occult underground for several decades until I was able to obtain it for my collection. This is the remains of the Reich rune master. And despite what the Nazis believed, it does have uncanny powers. Take the runes and go ahead and cast them. Cast them onto skin. The face down are the unknowable, but the face up, from the ones you selected, they spell out O-D-I-N, Odin. That was his name. There's one symbol that's preserved on this piece of flesh. It's the symbol that stands for the rune master, with the symbol on his flesh. Let's look. Open your hand. And let's see, one symbol out of 25 that you ended up with is the symbol of the rune master. That shouldn't surprise you, though, because you have the symbol of the rune master on your flesh.
What does it mean?
It means the telephone is now working. Since this is a magic video, I'm obligated to reveal my secrets. Ouija is what I call the effect with the tiny Ouija board. It's based on an idea by Steve Burton, who uses a small Ouija board. He cut off the box of a Ouija set. Ouija is a copyright trademark by Parker Brothers. You can design your own board or photocopy one. I stained this with golden oak minwax to give it the proper color for the board. The planchette was designed by Van Warren of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Before he gave me that, I used a guitar pick for my Ouija planchette or indicator. You could also make one out of wood. Use your favorite method to discern the dead name. I use a Piat's Peak wallet. I'm not at liberty to divulge the method, but you could just as easily use a center tear, such as a Stride, Osterlander, Bernstein, Instant Access center tear. Or you could use a caper case, Jack's wallet, any impression device, a billet switch, whatever you feel comfortable with to find out what that dead name was. You don't want to directly spell out the name. If they write out Martin Luther King, for example, I spell out I have a dream. If they do Kennedy, it's JFK. I've used Rasta for Bob Marley, and Viva Las Vegas or Don't Be Cruel for Elvis Presley. I've made my Ouija board into an acrobatic board using dental dam and heavy cardboard. Dental dam can be used for a lot of other effects. I use a very thin dental dam. You can obtain this at a dental supply company. You want to use heavy cardboard, a glue stick to glue two pieces of the cardboard together, packing tape to hold down the dental dam, and then you create a little tension by allowing it to watch a Hitchcock movie or stretching it out and creating tension. Now I use Avery Spada glue to hold the rubber dam in place until it gives. You can just as easily use magician's wax. I find this works very well. Using the dam to cause something to move is very useful in bizarre magic. I have made acrobatic tarot cards using the dental dam, creating a card that will flip over or flip another card over. I've got a couple routines in my book, Turn of a Friendly Card. Larry Keane has a routine in his book, Encounter with Terror. And another use for the dental dam is an item I call the Poltergeist book. It's a child's book that will fall over on its own. It's got a flap built into it that can be leaned up against a box. When the tension gives, it causes the book to fall over. There is a lack of control of timing when you're using the dental dam. That's why when I'm using the Ouija board, I start out with the analogy of the phone booth, which I used in the routine. And then I follow that up talking about when the board is done communicating, when the spirits are done communicating, they will let you know. I have another ending. If nothing happens there, I start to tell about how once I asked the Ouija board who was giving these messages, and it spelled out S-A-T-A-N, Satan. And try to time that for the board to flip then. That's very heavy, and it's often too spooky for some people. But the board flopping over is a very startling ending that occurs in the spectator's own hands. The skeletal finger in the bottle is based on the old wand in the bottle effect. Eugene Berger adapted this to close-up magic and called it his spirit indicator, but many of you will recognize it as a variation on Steve Dushek's Wonder Bar. I use a honey jar with a genuine skeleton finger. You can get a genuine skeleton finger at a chiropractic college, or you could possibly get one at a biological supply company. You might even be able to dig one up at a secluded graveyard. Scratch that last thought. You also could make one out of clay by copying the bones from a copy of Gray's Anatomy and then gluing them together. Or get a Lippincott plastic model of a skeleton hand and just use the finger. But it must look authentic. Now I also use a couple corks. I've got a cork in my pocket that has invisible thread attached to it. This is the invisible thread. It's attached to the base of the skeletal finger. The cork acts as an anchor in my pocket. I use the second cork, I place it loosely on the bottle. When I show it to one side, it may move just a little, but when I move it to the other hand, I get it ready so that the finger will be able to move up and poke the cork right out of the bottle. Now this can be done very subtly with a movement, or it can be very startling. I usually have the spectator lean in so that they are surprised when the finger jumps up. The thread I use is replacement thread for esoteric, which is sold by Stephen's Magic Emporium. This is a great little cocktail party trick because it resets, it needs no tables, you can do it right in your hand. There's surprise involved in it. When I store it, I will wrap the invisible thread around the mouth of the bottle. then put the cork with the thread attached into the bottle. That keeps it from tangling while it's in storage. However, when I'm performing it, I leave the cork that's attached in my pocket and use the other cork. As you probably noticed in the two effects that I've described so far, I use surprise at the ending. I use 3 different elements in my routines: suspense, surprise, and a touch of the uncanny. I find these are very effective in bizarre magic. By now you've realized that I use humor in my presentations of bizarre magic. I find it releases tension, particularly people are nervous when you're dealing with taboo subjects, which I deal with in my bizarre magic. The best horror movies always had that comedy relief. And I will stick humorous lines in my act. Timing is crucial, and the style of humor is also very important. It has to fit your style. The next bit I'd like to explain is something I call Vincent's Ear. It was inspired by a Michael Frank's song of the same name. I have always wondered what happened to Vincent van Gogh's ear, and I figured a lot of other people must wonder that also. Maybe I am the only one that wonders this kind of thing. But anyway, I picked up some postcards showing self-portraits of various artists at the Chicago Museum of Art, including 2 of Vincent van Gogh for this routine. The switch you probably recognize as the old flapless envelope switch. I've got the 4th envelope. The one I put the Vincent van Gogh in is a flapless envelope. It goes in here. When I pull out this one, which has the vandalized Van Gogh in it that's got the hole through the ear. When I reach in to bring out the ear of Van Gogh in my case, I turn on a microcassette recorder, which has some empty space on it before it has a sound, which indicates that the ear has found the correct picture. The ear is a rubber ear I picked up at a magic shop. I stained it a little darker. I covered it with a lot of gauze, just enough so it looks gruesome but leaves a lot to the imagination. I also added a little strange scent in the box, so when the lid comes off, the spectators get an unusual whiff of something. This routine I play for puns. The Number of the Beast is probably the strongest effect I have in my act because it deals with a very strong taboo. I've had people come up and ask me afterwards. They enjoyed the effect, but they wondered whether it was sacrilegious. I think these same people probably felt The Omen, the movie, was sacrilegious because it had a scene where there were pages from the Bible pasted on the wall of a room. I don't think it's that way at all. I think that it is a special effect. And in the same book, Matthew 7, verse 1, it says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." I like to think that he likes my routine. It's basically a card trick. You need to get a heathen to hollow out a section of the Bible. Then, using a Thoth tarot pack, which was designed by Crowley, the cards are stacked with the 4 sixes on top of the pack. The 6 of Wands, the 6 of Discs, the 6 of Swords, and the 6 of Cups. And then the Devil card on top of the pack. I false shuffle, out jogging the top card so that I end up revealing the Devil card first. That's buried in the pack. When I cut the pack, I keep a break so that when the knife is placed in between the cards, I can open it between the break, sliding the knife out so that it's between the two sixes, 6 of cups and 6 of swords. That forces the first two. I take a break under the next card before I place the pack down. Once again, when the knife blade is placed in there and I separate them, it places the knife blade between the two sixes. I let them choose this time. Doesn't matter which one. They're going to get a 6, and the 3 sixes are there for the conclusion. The nice thing about this is that many times the audience anticipates the climax. They really don't know what direction I'm going to take it, but they see the 3 sixes, and they know that something's going to happen dealing with them. I use a switchblade rather than a real ceremonial knife, simply because the effect is heavy enough as it is, and this is adds a little humor to it, plus the line about needing a virgin softens the heavy mood of the effect. Remains of the Reich Rune Master is another in my Magic with Body Parts series. I use liquid latex to create the flesh, adding a little coloring as needed for the Rune Master, which can be a very grotesque prop. I've marked the symbol for the Rune Master, which is a symbol that I can force with the runes. There's no particular runic symbol that is designated as a symbol for a Rune Master, so use one that you can force very easily. It's marked on the back of the rune. Now, the runes, you can pick up Ralph Blum's set of ceramic runes, which you saw me using, or you can make your own out of clay. It's very simple to make a set of runes out of a wooden dowel in a wood burner set. It takes a little time, but you place a different glyph on one side of each of 25 discs. Makes a very attractive rune set. I've got some double-sided ones because to force the name Odin, I use a change bag which has a rubber band pinned inside to hold runes that are double-sided. This one's got a symbol of an O on both sides. This one's got the D on both sides, and the I and the N. Plus I use 2 double-sided blank runes. They go into the rubber band. When the 6 rune stones are selected and dropped into the bag, I switch them for these 6, which are tossed out and will always fall, showing O-D-I-N. I forced the symbol at the very beginning using equivoque, the old magician's force. Basically, you're going to break the runes into subsets. When I pour out the runic symbols, I locate the force symbol. If it's fallen face down, I can notice it from the back because it is marked on the back. As I'm exhibiting them at the very beginning of the routine, I make sure that one is near the front. So when the spectator picks up a handful of runes to cast the runes, she's going to pick up that rune stone. I eliminate the rest. When she casts those, that's when I decide whether we're going to use the face up or the face down stones. In this case, we're only going to use the face up stones. I remove the face down, they're the unknown. That leaves me with 4. I continue, as you do with equivoque, eliminating rune stones until the force symbol is left. If you have any questions on equivoque, pick up a copy of Phil Goldstein's Verbal Control, a treatise on the art of equivoque. I add the symbol on the spectator's hand when I place the force rune in her hand by using a little gimmick, which is made of a piece of tin that's got rubber attached to it with a mirror image of the force symbol on it. That mirror image is coated with graphite or ink, and being tin, it hooks up with a magnet right here on my case. You can steal it from wherever it's comfortable, but as I take her hand, it's like the old ash trick. I place the symbol in her hand, hold her hand for a minute, and imprint it with the force symbol. Then I ditch the gimmick in my pocket. That's basically remains of the Reich Rune Master. That's in my book, Mysteries of the Runes. The very first bit I did, I call Trouble with Witches' Knives. It's a fast opener and it involves the audience. It's a combination of Al Cohen's Dagger Dime and Dr. Sawa's Satan's Spoons. So I'm not at liberty to divulge the methods, but you can pick up both of these effects at Al's Magic Shop in Washington, D.C. You can figure it out yourself. When I do this routine, I realize I use a little poetic license by using the story of witches' knives. This is nothing like contemporary Wiccans would use in a routine. However, my audiences understand the routine. If I was performing it for witches, I might change the patter a little. I'm sure you've noticed that in my routines, there's a purpose for the phenomenon to happen. Using my storytelling and exhibiting pieces from my collection, there's a logical reason when the magic occurs. Now I've let you in on all my secrets. I'm always looking for new additions to my collection. What nice earrings you have. I want to thank you for purchasing the Magus video. For information on our products and prices, please contact the address at the end of this video.